Murdoch, the damn lever just came off in my hand, and we're still at work.
Try another lever.
No buttons, just switches, lights, and knobs.
Listen to me. Your crew is in complete control of the situation.
You know what keeps me up at night? Not horror films or existential dread. It's wondering how a movie about a plane disaster became one of the greatest comedies ever made.
Not exactly. We're also out of coffee.
A film that took serious actors, dramatic scenes, and turned them into comedy gold. This is the story of Airplane, the movie that proved that sometimes the straightest face tells the funniest joke. Back in 1980, three guys named Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker had a crazy idea. Why not take a forgotten 1957 disaster film called 0 Hour, cast dramatic actors like Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack, and turn every serious moment into a joke? It sounds like a recipe for disaster, but instead, it became a recipe for comedy revolution. Picture this. While every other comedy was winking at the camera, Airplane kept a poker face. Leslie Nielsen, known for playing stern authority figures, delivered lines like, "I am serious and don't call me Shirley," with deadpan perfection. Stack and Peter Graves, both dramatic heavyweights, approached their ridiculous dialogue like they were performing Shakespeare. The film cost just $3.5 million to make, pocket change even by 1980 standards, yet it went on to make $83 million at the box office, proving that sometimes the best jokes are the ones you don't see coming. But more than money, Airplane changed the game. It showed that comedy could be smart and stupid at the same time, that you could pack every frame with jokes, and that sometimes the funniest person in the room is the one not trying to be funny at all. Every time I revisit this film, I catch another joke I missed before. Whether it's the drinking problem gag, the I speak jive scene, or that inflatable autopilot, Airplane remains a masterclass in comedy timing. You don't just watch it, you study it, finding new layers of humor with each viewing. So what made this spoof soar while so many others crashed and burned? Let's dive into the revolutionary production of Airplane that changed comedy forever. The Zucker brothers and Jim Abrahams took a bold risk that paid off spectacularly. They purchased the rights to 1957's 0 Hour for $2,500 and even reused some dialogue word for word, transforming dramatic lines into comedy gold. The casting broke every Hollywood rule. While comedy films typically starred comedians, Airplane deliberately chose dramatic actors. Leslie Nielsen had played serious roles for 30 years, including a captain in Forbidden Planet and a ship commander in The Poseidon Adventure. Robert Stack was known for The Untouchables, Peter Graves for Mission Impossible, and Lloyd Bridges for serious westerns and TV dramas. Their dramatic delivery of absurd lines created a new comedy style. The production design was meticulous. Cinematographer Joseph Barak, who had worked on serious films like The Towering Inferno, shot Airplane exactly like a disaster movie. The lighting was dramatic, the camera movements were steady and serious, and the sets were built to match real aircraft interiors. Even the music by Elmer Bernstein, known for The Magnificent Seven, used full orchestral dramatic scoring rather than typical comedy cues. The film's unique approach extended to its dialogue recording. Unlike most comedies that encouraged improvisation, Airplane required exact delivery of written lines. The directors insisted on multiple takes until the actors delivered their lines with complete seriousness, no matter how ridiculous. This attention to detail resulted in perfect timing for jokes like the famous "I am serious and don't call me Shirley" line. The technical mastery behind Airplane revolutionized comedy filmmaking through its innovative approach to visual and audio storytelling. the Zucker-Abraham Zucker team created a multi-layered comedy experience that worked like a precisely engineered machine, with every technical element serving multiple comedic purposes. The film's cinematography, led by Joseph Birak, deliberately mimicked the serious style of 1970s disaster films. The camera movements were steady and purposeful, creating a stark contrast with the absurdist events unfolding on screen. This technical choice amplified the humor by maintaining the illusion of a serious film, even as characters engaged in increasingly ridiculous behavior. Sound design played a crucial role in the film's success. The team developed a complex audio landscape where dialogue overlapped strategically, creating multiple channels of humor. Background conversations often contained hidden jokes that rewarded attentive viewers, while sound effects were meticulously timed to enhance visual gags. The dramatic orchestral score by Elmer Bernstein never acknowledged the comedy, instead treating each scene with the gravity of a disaster film. The editing technique, revolutionary for its time, employed what became known as the machine gun approach. Editor Patrick Kennedy maintained a relentless pace, cutting between jokes so quickly that audiences barely had time to recover from one before the next hit. This created a dense comedic texture that supported multiple viewing experiences, as viewers would catch different jokes each time. Special effects, while modest by today's standards, were innovative in their comedic application. The famous spinning room sequence required a custom-built rotating set, synchronized with camera movements, creating a disorienting effect that served both the story and the comedy. The inflatable autopilot scenes combined practical effects with precise timing to create memorable visual gags. The technical team also pioneered the use of match cuts for comedic effect, transitioning between scenes in ways that created additional layers of humor. They developed a system of visual callbacks, where props and background elements would reappear throughout the film, building running gags through technical consistency. Color grading and lighting maintained the serious tone of disaster films, with dramatic shadows and high-contrast scenes that made the comedy even more effective by contrast. The production design team created sets that could withstand intense scrutiny, as the film's style encouraged viewers to scan every frame for hidden jokes. This technical precision created a film that contained an average of 3.6 jokes per minute, with some scenes containing up to 7 simultaneous gags. The careful balance of these elements established a new template for comedy filmmaking, influencing generations of filmmakers and establishing techniques that are still studied and emulated today. The true brilliance of Airplane comes from its unconventional approach to comedy structure. The film subverted traditional genre expectations by directly parodying not just disaster films, but the entire landscape of serious cinema from the 1970s. At its core, the film challenged Hollywood's established comedy rules. While most comedies relied on comedic actors and obvious setups, Airplane proved that dramatic actors could deliver superior comedic performances through complete commitment to absurdity. Leslie Nielsen's transformation from dramatic actor to comedy icon perfectly exemplifies this revolutionary approach. The film's satire worked on multiple levels. It mocked disaster film cliches like the troubled pilot, the sick passenger, and the against all odds landing. But it also targeted broader cultural touchstones, from Saturday Night Fever to contemporary TV commercials. This multi-layered approach meant the film appealed to both casual viewers and those seeking deeper satirical meaning. Perhaps most importantly, Airplane demonstrated that sophisticated comedy could coexist with slapstick humor. The film seamlessly blended highbrow wordplay with lowbrow visual gags, creating a unique comedic style that influenced countless future productions. The famous "I Speak Jive" scene, for instance, works as both broad comedy and sharp social commentary. The film's approach to character development was equally innovative. Instead of treating its characters as mere vehicles for jokes, it maintained their dramatic integrity throughout. Ted Stryker's backstory, while ridiculous, is played completely straight, creating a compelling character arc that grounds the surrounding chaos. Critics initially struggled to categorize the film. Some dismissed it as mere parody, while others recognized its groundbreaking nature. Roger Ebert notably gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, praising its kind of insanity that makes moviegoing worthwhile. This critical confusion actually helped establish Airplane as a new form of comedy, one that defied traditional classification. The film's influence on comedy cannot be overstated. It established the template for future spoof films, though few would match its precise balance of wit and absurdity. More broadly, it showed that comedy could be both intelligent and accessible, paving the way for more sophisticated humor in mainstream cinema. Airplane soared into theaters in July 1980 with modest expectations, but quickly became a phenomenon that transformed the comedy landscape. Opening against summer blockbusters like The Empire Strikes Back, the film's $3.5 million budget seemed minuscule, yet it grossed over $83 million domestically, proving that smart comedy could compete with major franchises. The film's marketing campaign faced unique challenges. Paramount struggled initially to convey the film's unique comedic style in trailers and TV spots. The solution came through word-of-mouth promotion, with early audiences spreading news about the film's innovative humor. This grassroots success helped establish Airplane as a must-see comedy event. Critics were initially divided, struggling to categorize this new form of comedy. While some traditional reviewers dismissed it as mere slapstick, others recognized its revolutionary approach. The New York Times praised its absolutely correct visual style, while Roger Ebert lauded its sophisticated humor. The film maintained an impressive 97% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, a testament to its enduring critical appeal. The film's success had immediate industry impact. Studios began seeking out similar comedy projects, leading to a wave of spoof films throughout the 1980s. However, few matched Airplane's perfect balance of wit and absurdity. The film also revolutionized casting practices, proving that dramatic actors could excel in comedy roles. This led to career transformations for several cast members, most notably Leslie Nielsen. Awards recognition was unprecedented for a comedy of this style. While comedies were often overlooked during awards season, Airplane received multiple nominations, including Writers Guild of America and BAFTA nominations. The film's screenplay has since been recognized by the Library of Congress for its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. The financial model of Airplane became a template for future comedy productions. Its success proved that a modest budget, combined with clever writing and strategic casting, could yield significant returns. This influenced studio decisions throughout the 1980s, leading to more opportunities for innovative comedy filmmakers. Merchandise and ancillary markets also proved surprisingly lucrative. Home video sales were particularly strong, with the film becoming one of the earliest comedy hits in the emerging VHS market. This extended shelf life helped establish Airplane as a cultural touchstone, with lines and scenes becoming part of popular culture. Airplane has become more than just a successful comedy. It's a cultural institution that fundamentally changed how we think about humor in film. 40-plus years later, its influence remains unmistakable in modern entertainment. The film's approach to rapid-fire comedy has become standard practice in modern comedies. Shows like 30 Rock, Arrested Development, and Community adopted similar techniques of layered jokes and background gags. The film's style of deadpan delivery and absurd situations influenced everything from the Naked Gun series to modern hits like Hot Fuzz. Its quotability factor remains remarkable. Phrases like, "Don't call me Shirley," and "I picked the wrong week to quit," have embedded themselves in popular culture, transcending generations. The film consistently ranks in AFI's top comedy lists and continues to find new audiences through streaming platforms and social media clips. The film's technical innovations in comedy timing and visual gags have been studied and emulated by filmmakers worldwide. Directors like Edgar Wright have cited Airplane as a major influence on their visual comedy style. Modern parody films, though often falling short, still attempt to recreate its winning formula of genre subversion and multi-layered humor. More importantly, Airplane proved that smart comedy could be both sophisticated and accessible. It demonstrated that audiences could handle complex joke structures and multiple levels of reference while still enjoying broad, physical comedy. This legacy has influenced contemporary comedy creators who blend high and low humor. The film has also gained academic recognition, being studied in film schools for its innovative approach to comedy construction. Its preservation in the National Film Registry acknowledges its cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance in American cinema. In an era of franchise reboots, Airplane remains uniquely resistant to recreation. Its perfect storm of timing, talent, and cultural context makes it impossible to replicate, cementing its status as a singular achievement in comedy filmmaking. So, fellow movie lovers, what's your take on this comedy masterpiece? Drop a comment below and tell us your favorite Airplane. Quote, "And don't worry, there are literally hundreds to choose from. Maybe it's the drinking problem gag, or perhaps you're partial to Captain Over's questionable conversations with Joey. And speaking of modern audiences, for those of you discovering this film for the first time, what surprised you most? Was it how many jokes you recognized from other media? Or maybe how many of today's comedy tropes started right here? If you enjoyed this deep dive into comedy history, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got more classics to dissect, more flops to defend, and plenty more reasons why the 1980s might have been cinema's greatest decade.